Roger. Good afternoon, and thanks for spending some time with me. We're going to talk about the partnership between Simpson Strong-Tie and the Building Talent Foundation this afternoon. But first, why don't you just give a description of the business and some of the opportunities and challenges in the business right now, so we can kind of get situated in really kind of your world and why you're trying to move in the direction of a partnership like this.
Yeah, so thanks, John. So first of all, my name is Roger Dankel. I'm the president of North American Sales with Simpson. I've been with the company for 28 years. 28 years seems like a long time, but Simpson Strong-Tie started in 1956, and we really just kind of started out as a connector company. And really our mission is to provide solutions that help people design and build stronger, safer structures. So we're really kind of an engineering, manufacturing, sales, and marketing organization, but here we are 65 years later. And we do more than just the simple connector. We do anchors and fasteners and truss and lateral systems and now even technology. So when you talk about, our industry, as things go, technology really kind of enters into, what the building material industry really needs to move towards, because efficiency and how we build and how we supply products is important, especially in this environment, as you said, John, that there's lots of challenges that we have as an industry right now, and there's lots of them, right? There's labor, there's finished lots, there's transportation. I was just reading an article before we started this call that there's 100 containers stacked up outside of LA and a shortage of 80,000 drivers to deliver those containers. So we're all dealing with the same constraints. Builders are dealing with labor, our factories, our suppliers and truckers. So we're kind of all in this together with all the issues. As good as the housing market is right now, it's being held back by a lot of things. And so our attraction to the Building Talent Foundation is several-fold. But when you think about, we like to think that we're one of the leaders in the industry. And why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we want to be part of the solving a problem, be part of the solution, and just sit around and just watch it? And I know the builders have been talking about it for a while. This is kind of how this came together with the top 20 builders, and they're looking to everyone that's in the industry to help participate. And this is, it's right in our wheelhouse. So when I think about probably the three reasons why we connected with Bronca and the Building Talent Foundation is, first of all, I already mentioned, as a leader in the industry, we're called, as other manufacturers and everybody is, to participate. Second, Simpson's core values, it's a lot about giving back and helping others and giving back to the community that has provided so much for us. This is one of Barclay Simpson's, our founder, is one of his core values. And it's one of ours. So, but we're called to do this both financially as well as by giving time. And we have a lot of folks. We got about 3,000 employees. But the third real reason is the training that needs to happen in order to train people and get them back into the industry. And we have a huge training department. It's part of our core values. It's what our sales folks do. So it was kind of like a no-brainer. It's like, where has this been? So we're very happy to be participating.
Yeah, and let's unpack this a little bit. Let's have can you talk a little bit about your company produces these structural engineering parts they make houses more durable, more resilient. They make them better structures. And then you have people involved in your own supply chains and the materials that are supplied to Simpson Strong-Tie to produce those materials. Can you talk a little bit about that human value stream a little bit, so that we understand kind of leading up to where you have a factory that can then distribute and supply to job sites your materials?
Yeah, so again, I mentioned we started out with a connector, but and there's a lot of them in seismic and wind areas, and there's somewhat less than that in other areas. But in general, you need connectors to hold your house together, whether you need it because the engineer says you need it or because the code requires it. So the bulk of what we do is make things out of big rolls of steel, looks like a roll of toilet paper, and then we run it through a progressive die and parts come out. And then if it's not automated, then we make it manually. So I mentioned steel as our core product that we acquire, along with everything that's going on in the supply chain as far as shortages. Lumber and plywood, not only a shortage, but pricing going through the roof. Speaking of roofing, siding, windows, doors, everything is in short supply and prices are through the roof. And steel, being a global commodity, is no exception. And we've experienced pricing that's more than 2.5 times what it was in August of last year. But we've been very blessed that with our relationships with our mills, we are actually getting steel. So for us, supply has not been a problem. Things are very expensive, though. We pretty much pay whatever the asking price is because we have to have product in order for our builder partners and our supply partners to continue to be able to build houses. So, if you can't put a roof truss on a house because you can't get plates or you can't get roof trusses or you can't close the window openings or doors with windows and doors, the supply chain, houses aren't going to be able to get closed. So again, so steel is the core product of what we buy, but most of our stuff is connecting things together, whether it's wood to wood, wood to steel, using a screw, an anchor, and so on.
Right. And each one of those touch points leading to the fact that the builders on the site can do their job, a high quality job, and have a better velocity in the construction process because of the design of the materials that you make. So those connections, those fasteners, all the ways that houses an envelope are made secure are done efficiently with your products, and that allows a schedule to take place and produce a home on time. So, and there's an ecosystem of people there. So you have a lot of partners who are human partners in that, and handoffs in that. So this exposes you to not only the kind of constraints you may have in your own business, but then your partner's business as well. And that makes you aware of how global this issue of having the right people, the right skills, the right commitment to that process all along the way. And it makes it clear that you can be very, very good as a company, but in isolation, you're dependent on all of those other places that you're interacting with, relationships and people. And so that's why I thought it would be very interesting to hear your perspective on sort of that interdependence of companies, the need for collaboration, the need for some alignment, even though companies need to make their own numbers and be kind of enterprises that are profit making on their own benchmarks. But how do you feel about having to kind of lock arms in some ways and solve this issue in terms of people and talent on a more kind of concerted basis?
So the extension of that would be with the Building Talent Foundation is so many subs and people have left the industry for whatever reason. Working outside and being in the construction business isn't very attractive. Not really sure why, because many of us have made a very good living, in this industry. So how can we extend that to attract and bring people back into the business? And we have a bunch of folks that our sales folks that do call on trade schools and high schools and people that have building classes even in the high schools or in the colleges. And kind of giving them the knowledge that they need. And so with the Building Talent Foundation and the builders and our customers, how can we make this topic comes up in every meeting, every roundtable that I sit on. What can we do to attract people into our industry, because you can make a good living, and it can be a lot of fun because it's a tight-knit group and everybody works well together. So extending the resources that we have with our supply partners to figure out how to bring folks back into the industry and get skilled labor and provide careers for people that maybe they otherwise wouldn't have been able to get to, and then matching them up with people that are hiring.
Right, and it's energizing to see the work that Bronca's doing, the pilot programs, the connections with the community colleges, and the ways to bring the appropriate kind of training into those environments, so that people can come into the program, get the particular specific kind of pathway of training, and then come out of it and go out and be able to go into a job site and thrive. So that is exciting. So is there a particular part of these initiatives that excites you in terms of the ability to clock in and start to involve your resources and your kind of energies in terms of where that focus is?
Yeah, so certainly the training is the most logical point for us. It's kind of interesting because before this opportunity to be a part of this was brought to us by KB Homes and several of the builders that are partners that started this, it turns out that one of our outreach coordinators in our McKinney, Texas facility, where we have a training center there that can seat 200 people, we were already working with Bronca, unbeknownst to me, on a local level. We have a group of folks that are coming up to McKinney for training from Dallas City Schools. So that was already in the works before we ever even learned about being able to become a partner officially. So it's very exciting because, like I said, it's right in our wheelhouse, and we were already kind of doing it. So now we have an opportunity to expand it to the other areas that Building Talent Foundation is working, in across the country. That's just one market, and I know there's a whole bunch more cities that they plan on expanding to.
I looked at the site, and there's a pretty robust commitment that I see in terms of environment, social, and governance, and accountability around reporting and benchmarks. Can you talk a little bit about the relationship that you see in that commitment and that focus on particularly social impact, social sustainability in your own organization, and how that connects to initiatives like this, Roger?
Yeah, John. So we're a public company, Simpson Strong-Tie, or SSD, and we have an ESG page on our Simpson Manufacturing. But as it relates, which talks about many of the things that will fall around ESG. But one of the things with getting together with Building Talent Foundation is just kind of the building a sustainable workforce. They're very focused on diversity and inclusion. And that's definitely something that we're very comfortable with. It's part of, again, our core values of giving back and really trying to serve underserved communities with people that are looking for a career, and how can we participate in that? So, again, not just financially by being a sponsor, but our time and also creating future leaders. Whether it's internally for Simpson with our employees, but also future leaders in the industry and in the community that can grow up and have a good career.
And so I imagine that the partnership will kind of result in specific initiatives, and then they will come back into how you measure across the organization what your progress is in some of those areas.
We're really in the process of understanding all the resources that we have and the needs of the organization, and how can we help other than just cutting a check, right? We have a marketing department, we have a training department. So certainly there are benchmarks of that could very easily be tracked as far as people trained, people employed, those types of things. But we're just kind of getting going, but we're really excited about it because it's a perfect fit for us.
So if you cast yourself forward a year from now, what do you hope you'll be talking about in terms of some of the outcomes that you're shooting for here?
Well, if we hit 100,000 jobs, how do we do 200,000 jobs? And if we train 1,000 people, how do we train 2,000 people? And what else can we do together? I know training and creating jobs is part of it, but what's the next level? What's the 5 or 10-year goal? So it's, again, we've got about 250 people in the field that are out there every day working with our customers and our specifiers and our builder partners. And then we've got, a couple hundred engineers and probably we have, I would say 15 training centers. I mean, there's just lots of ways that we can use our resources to help.
Roger, thank you so much. This has been a great help for me to understand the relationship as it's starting out and what it's setting its ambitions for. And I look forward to following it and tracking your team. I'm sure I'll be tracking a lot of success on it.
Thanks, John. I appreciate your time.